Is Ruben Amorim raising the level? Going into the fixture on Saturday against West Ham, I was really intrigued into seeing what Ruben Amorim was going to do. Was he going to go with his strongest possible 11? How many minutes was he going to give them? And I wanted to see, based on the starting 11, what exactly the ideas were going to be in different phases of the game. Was build-up going to look the same with the center back converting into midfield? How are they going to look off the ball? Were they going to press high? Were they going to sit deep? And I got a lot of answers to my questions. So in today's video, we're going to analyze Ruben Amorim's Manchester United against West Ham. So grab your espresso, grab your coffee, grab your tea, whatever beverage you like. Sit back and enjoy, because we are going to dissect exactly what Ruben Amorim was looking to do. And I think it gave us a glimpse into what we can expect Manchester United to look like come August 17th against Arsenal. But before we dive into the tactical depth of Manchester United in their preseason match against West Ham, if you are liking the content, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like on the video. Drop a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if there's any videos that you all would like me to release. And remember to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you never miss a video. The Premier League season is just around the corner and the content is only going to continue to pick up. As always, I really appreciate everyone who tunes in. But let's dive in to what Manchester United were looking to do against West Ham. So it's no surprise that Ruben Amorim set up Manchester United in the typical 3-4-3. This isn't something that we're going to have to go over because this is just what Ruben Amorim prefers. I was excited to see Aiden Heaven and Lenny Euro play as the wide center halves, as I've been seeing a lot of discourse on social media, most specifically X, on the frustrations with the build-up under Ruben Amorim. A lot of it goes to the fact that Manchester United don't specifically have a holding midfielder to come and collect the ball, especially on those goal kicks. But the reality is, if you've watched Ruben Amorim coach Sporting before, a lot of his progression came through the wide center halves, looking to either fizz the ball into one of the 10s. Obviously now for Manchester United, it's Matheus Cunha and Bruno Fernandes. In this game specifically, for Sporting, it was often Pedro Gonçalves and Trincao. And for Sporting, it was Victor Gyökeres. Obviously for Manchester United, it's Rasmus Højlund, kind of running into these channels. So the idea was get the center halves to split, push a center half into midfield, the center half typically, which I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest fan of, but that's just what Ruben does. Again, this isn't necessarily happening because Ruben Amorim wants the ball to be progressed via the center half. He doesn't want the center half to get on the half turn and try and play as if he is a Pedri or as if he is a Vitinha. The idea is pushing De Ligt out into midfield. It still forces an opposition midfielder or an attacker to mark De Ligt. They're not just going to leave him open, because although he's not very comfortable on the half turn, if he is wide open in these spaces and the keeper plays him, he's still a professional footballer at a very high level. At the highest level, he will be able to get on the ball and turn if nobody's marking him. This is more so to draw players in, and then United either look to go direct from the keeper into these channels, or look to play wide to the center half, engage the press, and then look to either play the ball into the 10 or Højlund, or in Sporting's case was Gyökeres, to make the run in behind and run into those channels. We have a few instances in which Manchester United did this. There was actually an instance in where they were very successful in doing this and hitting the channels, but we'll get into that when the time comes. But the setup was Matthijs de Ligt in center half, Manu Ugarte and Kobe as the two midfielders. You had Dorgu and Ahmad as the wingbacks, Bruno and Cunha occupying the 10s, and you had Rasmus Højlund occupying the number 9. Not really much. Not many surprises in my opinion. I was interested to see Kobe and Ugarte play. Obviously, Bruno scored a brace. My man of the match, especially in that first half, was Manu Ugarte. I mean, he was all over it. He was brilliant. But let's talk about the good, and then we will save time to talk about the bad. Because although I do think that United are really building something here, I think that There are a few things that are very noticeable in what Manchester United are doing that they've improved on. There are also some things that Manchester United need to work on, especially with the Premier League season right around the corner. So let's talk about the main concern, first of all, when it comes to Ruben Amorim's Manchester United, which is build-up. Again, the frustration with the center half getting into midfield, and I can understand it. But in this clip here, you can get a glimpse of what Manchester United are trying to do when it comes to build-up. So you can see here, Lenny Euro has the ball as the right center half, and his first idea is essentially to hit the channel. After Lenny Euro hits the vertical ball into the channel, Rasmus is in a 1v1 situation with West Ham center half. He wins the ball. I thought Rasmus was actually pretty good in this game in terms of what he was doing off the ball. I think he struggled when it came to being in front of goal, but in this instance here, he did really well to fight off the West Ham center half. You can see in this clip that Cunha is obviously the free man in midfield. So if Rasmus can win this ball, either play it into Bruno or turn the center half, there is room to play the ball into Cunha. And then what happens is Mateus Cunha ends up as the free man. They get the ball into Cunha, and now you see a transition where West Ham center halves are split. They're not very comfortable in this position. Obviously, you have Cunha running as a free man. It's a good situation for Manchester United. I'm not necessarily saying that you have to agree with the methods in which Ruben Amorim is looking to build with in terms of deep build-up, but the reality is that's what you're going to get. The idea is play the ball into one of the wide center halves, hit the channels, win the first ball, get bodies around if you don't win the first ball to win the second ball, and then attack from there. What I will say is I have never seen a coach be so criticized for his method of build-up. I have never seen it with any coach. So for me, it's quite interesting. I got to be honest. Another thing I found quite interesting was what Manchester United were looking to do off the ball. It's no surprise that Ruben Amorim likes to implement a man-to-man press when the opposition is building from goal kicks or from deep in general. And it was just refreshing for me. What I thought was the biggest eye-opener in terms of the entire of the 90 minutes wasn't necessarily the technical levels or even the tactical levels. I know we talk a lot on this channel about what Manchester United are looking to do both on and off the ball. We're looking to analyze the four phases of the game, what they're doing on the ball and off the ball in settled possession, as well as what they're doing in transitions, both offensively and defensively. But for me, what I've noticed is the physical ceiling seems to have been raised. There have been a lot of times in past seasons where Manchester United's physical level in the Premier League hasn't necessarily been up to scratch with what's needed to be successful. A lot of people talk about the technical levels, and that is true. You need to be technically top, obviously, to play in the Premier League. You need to be technically top to play in professional football. All of these players that play in the Premier League are technically ridiculous. Even if you don't think they are, the reality is they are. What Manchester United have been missing is physicality. It's not the most popular conversation. It's not the most, pretty thing in the world. But you need players who are going to run. You need players who are going to cover ground. What I found really interesting in this match in particular was the willingness to press. Obviously, you're going to get the press from Bruno. Cunha, there was a lot of conversations about, is he a willing presser? Is he going to work off the ball? Is he going to want to run and do the dirty work when United aren't in possession? And I think, it's only 2 games into preseason, but I think he's put a lot of those conversations to bed. So what Manchester United were looking to do from West Ham's build-up was they went man-to-man, so the 2 center halves were marked by the 2 10s. They actually had Rasmus sit deep and essentially block off any kind of progression that West Ham were looking to do through their midfield. Kobe and Ugarte, very high and aggressive as well. Dorgu ready to jump if the ball went out to the fullback. Ahmad ready to jump if the ball went out to the fullback. And then Ruben Amorim obviously trusts his 3 center halves in 1v1 situations. I thought that the back 3 was brilliant. I thought there were moments where Aiden Heaven struggled a little bit. Thought he did Thought he did really well to win the pen, obviously, but there were moments where he struggled. I thought De Ligt was brilliant. I think the thing with De Ligt in the center half position is he's very proactive. So when West Ham gets the ball into these areas, if there is a moment where they break the press, De Ligt is so comfortable stepping into these and reading those passes before it even gets to the number 9, and he's very comfortable if the ball goes over the top as well. And then Lenny, again, I don't need to speak about this guy anymore. People are probably getting bored of me speaking about him, but I think, if things go the way that they should for this guy, the sky is the limit. He's brilliant. And what I've noticed with both Aiden Heaven and Lenny Euro is because the wingbacks are so attacking in this formation, even though people still tend to believe that they're not. Ruben obviously tasks them with defending a lot of space, and they have to defend these zones. And that's why the physicality part of it is so important. You need players who can run, you need players who can cover ground. So I thought Manchester United did a really good job of preventing West Ham from building at all. They were typically forced to go long. West Ham's keeper didn't have the best of times trying to pick out those passes into the channels. Manchester United were often, again, very aggressive in their man-to-man, especially with the back three, and they won a lot of those duels and those battles. So Manchester United, from what I've seen, and we'll see it in this clip here, Manchester United are very willing to press high, and we're going to get into how they are so comfortable in pressing high with the two behind them. But you can see in this picture here, Bruno obviously marking out the center half, Mateus obviously blocking off the pass to the other center half, Rasmus marking the pivot in the midfield, and then obviously you can't see in this picture, but Ahmed and Dorgu ready to jump if West Ham's goalkeeper decides to play it to the fullbacks. So essentially United were forcing West Ham to go long, and they weren't having much success with it because of the aggressiveness in the way that Manchester United's back three operates. So I also want to talk about what Ruben Amorim's Manchester United are looking to do off the ball in settled play. Again, a lot of conversations when Manchester United signed Matheus Cunha in terms of what is he going to do with helping the team defensively. So this is more or less the shape of what Manchester United looked like off the ball when West Ham were building. In the middle phase, they were very compact. So you had Kobe and Ugarte very tight to each other, blocking any central progression that West Ham were looking to have. Manchester United were essentially telling West Ham, go ahead, have the ball on the perimeter, but we're not going to let you play any passes through the lines. Rasmus and Bruno very close, Ugarte and Kobe very close, and Cunha really willing to drop into these pockets here when Kobe would tuck in a little bit more if they were getting overloads on this side. And Cunha was very comfortable with dropping into these positions and blocking any progressive passes coming into here. Cunha was very comfortable getting on the defensive side. And if the ball was played out wide here, which was typically to Toribo, Cunha was very comfortable stepping into those positions, and then Manchester United would very quickly shift over. So Manchester United were very compact. One thing I can say about Ruben Amorim is I think he is going to potentially see some success when coming up against teams that prefer to have a lot of the ball. We saw it in the season prior against Liverpool at Anfield. I thought it was one of their best performances. They drew 2-2. I thought United were quite unfortunate not to walk away from Anfield with 3 points with that Maguire chance at the end of the game. Ruben Amorim set them up really well. Against Manchester City, when Ahmad scored that late winner, again, very compact, very able and willing to sit in that block and hit teams on the counter when needed. And then you even look at against Arsenal in the FA Cup when they were down to 10 men after Diogo Dalot got sent off. Very comfortable in that deep block, and even with 10 men, they were actually creating some chances, and I thought unlucky not to score in the extra time, most notably that Xerxes chance that David Raya made a great save on. But we've seen that Manchester United can be very comfortable in the deep block. As we see here, obviously Rasmus, very tight to the player on the ball. Kobe and Ugarte, very close in terms of where they are on the pitch, not allowing any balls to be played through them. They want to block off any central progression. You see Mateus here already looking to go and block off. I believe that's James Ward-Prowse. And Bruno's ready as well to jump if the ball goes backwards as well. I think Ruben Amorim has done a really good job of setting the team up off the ball, especially in games where we're not going to have much of the ball. I think typically when you go to the Etihad and play Manchester City, I think about when you go to Anfield and you play against Liverpool, when you go to the Emirates and you play against Arsenal, those are going to be games where you don't have much of the ball. And I feel very comfortable in games where we're going to have to defend and hit teams on transitions. The worry for me still is, how are Manchester United going to do when they're the team that's supposed to be dominant on the ball? And we're going to get into that. So we've obviously all heard triangles when it comes to football. And I think one triangle in particular that I thought had some good success against West Ham, that I think can have a lot of success in general in the Premier League, is Kobe, Dorgu, and Cunha. I thought Kobe, again, he just continues to get better and better. And I think the same can be said with Dorgu. I think there was a few moments in the game where these three were linking up quite well. Obviously, in videos I've made before, and if you've watched Cunha play for Wolves or just watched Cunha play in general, he is very happy to drop deep. He is very much a ball-to-feet player. He wants to be involved in the game as much as he can. He wants as many touches in the game as he can, and it was very evident in this match as well. Kobe was very important in carrying in midfield, obviously with Ugarte being the other profile. He's more so the ball winner, and we're going to get into that shortly. But Kobe, very comfortable on the ball, getting the ball out to Dorgu. And the thing is, because Cunha is such a tricky player, he often will drop into the space. He'll carry a center back with him. Obviously, the fullback wants to get nice and tight. But again, as we've spoken about, it's not just the technical ability of players like Kobe and like Cunha. And that's important. The ability to fizz these passes in quickly. But as you can see in this clip here, they've once again created the triangle 3. Cunha gets the ball. He draws in Wan-Bissaka, so Wan-Bissaka is already tight to Cunha. And we know the ability that Dorgu has to run in behind, and it's a beautiful passing behind, and they create a chance. Dorgu ends up winning a foul, I believe, in this clip. Get Cunha to drop in deep, get him to drag out either a fullback or a center half, connect quickly with the midfielder on that side, and then get Dorgu in behind, and then flood the box with runners and create chances through that way. Okay, so last thing I want to talk about before I get into the more worrisome thing that I noticed from the game, which was a positive, and it was Manu Ugarte. So there were a few instances in the game where, as we've spoken about before, Kobe is going to be the more advanced of the two whenever it's a Kobe Ugarte midfield. That is obvious. Ugarte is the anchor. He sits and he breaks up play. He keeps it ticking. Kobe is more adventurous. He wants to get on the ball. He wants to drive forward. There was an instance in the game where Kobe was driving forward and he lost possession of the ball, which is fine. He's going to be adventurous. He wants to get the ball forward. He wants to carry, and he lost possession. I'm not focused on that in this clip specifically. So in this clip, you can see Ugarte off the ball where Manchester United are in possession. He is essentially waiting for the possibility that West Ham win the ball and United have to defend in transition. As soon as Kobe loses the ball, Ugarte is proactive. He steps, and again, I think he's gotten a lot better technically. I think he looks a lot more comfortable on the ball in the preseason so far than he did last season. I think we have to remember that this is not a player who has been at United for 5, 6, 7 years. He is still adapting, and I think he has shown signs of adapting. So what he does so well here is he jumps into the space proactively. As soon as Kobe loses the ball, look at the numbers. Manu Ugarte maybe shouldn't win this ball, but because he's so proactive and he backs himself, and because he's good in the duels, a good piece of skill, and he has the final ball as well to play in Ahmad, who unfortunately was offside. But these are the things that Manu Ugarte brings to your midfield. Again, we can talk all day and night about how good some of the best midfields in the world are. I have talked a lot about PSG's midfield with João Neves, with Vitinha, and Fabian Ruiz. And although they are ridiculous footballers with the way that they can receive on the half turn, with their weight of pass and all of these good things, they're also very willing runners off the ball. Most notably, I would say João Neves. He does a lot of dirty work that he doesn't necessarily get the credit for because he is so good. But you need players who are going to win the ball back in midfield, especially in these zones when opposition is looking to transition into attack. Ugarte gives you the capability to win the ball high up the pitch and turn a defensive transition into a goal-scoring opportunity. Obviously, unfortunately for this chance, it was offside. But it just goes to show what a Manu Ugarte in midfield can do for your team. Okay, so obviously I am trying to be as optimistic as I can that Manchester United are going to have a much better season than they did last season. I don't necessarily think it's possible to be worse unless they were to get relegated. But there is still some cause for concern with what Manchester United are doing. And there was one clip specifically, or one part of the game, that I noticed that I'm sure you all noticed as well. That is a bit of a worry, and I wanted to go over. So in this moment here, you can see Ugarte, Kobe, Bruno, Rasmus, and Cunha. The press is fine. The issue here is the gap. I've given obviously a lot of credit to Manchester United's back line in being so proactive, in being so aggressive, in being able to cut out those passes. But this is an issue where, again, maybe this is down to preseason. The players aren't up to full fitness. This was in the second half. And this clip actually ended up turning into a Jared Bowen goal. This is an issue. This is not something that can be consistent if Manchester United want to have a successful Premier League campaign. Obviously, Ruben Amorim knows that way better than I do. And again, I'm not sure if this is down to it being preseason, but the reality is there are still some things that Manchester United need to clean up. It is far from perfect. Obviously, Brian Mbeumo yet to feature. I'm interested to see what he'll provide when it comes to Manchester United, most notably in transitions and both in settled play. I'm interested to see him link up with Ahmad. But I think there are signs that Manchester United are growing. Is it perfect? Far from. But again, I must remind everybody, it is preseason. I'm choosing to look at the things that Manchester United are implementing that are positive, but you also have to realize the negatives in the game. Again, for me, in preseason, the results are never important. Win or lose, I don't really care. What matters for me is the blueprint. What is Ruben Amorim looking to do with these Manchester United players that is going to make them successful throughout the course of the 25-26 Premier League season? But anyways, that is it for this one. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the game. Again, if you have any videos that you'd like me to drop, please let me know in the comments down below. And let me know, do you think Ruben Amorim is doing a good job? I always love to hear everyone's opinions and thoughts. That's why I created this channel. But that is it for this one. I really appreciate everybody watching. Quick reminder to hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. I'll see y'all again soon. Until next time, peace.